Alright y'all, I have another recipe for y'all. These are green lentils and they're super easy to make. You just first have to boil them, and it really took about 15 minutes to make them as soft as I wanted for my curry. And then I went in and started chopping up my vegetables, and in this recipe I'm going to use onions, celery, carrots, and green onions. I've said this before in some of my previous videos. I do not use any nightshade vegetables, so I don't use any peppers, whether that's like green peppers or yellow peppers, orange peppers, or even the spicy peppers, just because I can't tolerate it, and my daughter also seems not to tolerate it. So I just use all the other vegetables that I can. So here I'm chopping up my green onions, and I really do not specify an amount. I just really honestly measure with my heart, and I personally find that the more that I use, the better the flavors in my meals are. It might look like a lot of work to chop up all these vegetables, and I promise you it really isn't, but I will say I try to plan ahead because I have 2 toddlers and can't hear it in the background, but they are really messing with me. So I try to do this ahead of time. I try to do it sometimes while they're napping. So today I was actually doing this in the morning so that I could actually cook the lentils, later in the evening, and all the chopping is already done. So do what you need to do. Make sure you prepare. At the same time, if you were to do this all at once, it's really just going to take you probably an hour for the full meal. So I just chopped all these up, and it took me probably about 10-15 minutes. And so making the lentils was really just dumping everything when I was ready. Now look y'all, you do not have to use baby carrots. I just happen to have these on hand, and I don't really eat carrots. My kids don't eat raw carrots like this, so I'm using them in the recipe because I don't want them to go bad. But you could also use regular carrots that you peel, chop them up same way. So once you have chopped everything up, you can go ahead and just put it in the pan, add some coconut oil, and start frying it up so that you can cook down the vegetables. And shortly I'm going to start adding the spices. As always, you can use whatever spices that you prefer. I am limited just because of my allergies, so I went in with some garlic, some cumin, some ground coriander, and some minced ginger. And then I also added some ground cardamom. I do grind my own just because I find that it's way more fresh, and it's cheaper to just purchase the big seeds and then grind them yourself. So then I finished that off with some better than beef bouillon. I have added this into my previous recipes. It just really adds a punch of flavor that is hard to get if you are not using meat, which in this recipe we're not using any of that. So then you can go ahead and pour in your cooked lentils and just mix it up to make sure everything is well incorporated. And at this point you can go ahead and start adding your coconut milk. And you definitely do not have to use the better than beef bouillon. I'm not vegan, but I know there's definitely other ways to incorporate amazing flavor without any meat products. I'm just, again, limited just because of my diet, so sometimes it's just easier for me to use that. And then I add chicken broth, but you could also add beef broth. This is just what I had on hand that day, and I do believe that it adds a lot of protein, and it just adds a great flavor. And then you just let it simmer. And we ate this with cassava flour tortillas.